How's that?
We
Better?
live. Yep.
All right, cool. What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Solutions with Trevor and Mike. But today we're gonna swing a little bit different. We got a special guest. This is my daughter Hailee, my beautiful daughter Hailee, and she's gonna be the special guest today. And we're gonna talk about a few things. Um, we're gonna have some fun. So, what's up, Hailee?
Hi.
Wave to the camera. What's up, everybody? Speak to the city. So, matter of fact, it's more than the city. You got a lot of people that's gonna be tuning in. So, um, you got something pretty big that's going on tomorrow. What you got going on?
I have my second annual Flint HBCU Forum tomorrow at the Flint Public Library with my organization, the Hailee Clack Initiative, which in short terms is the FBC initiative.
Okay. All right. So, what? Why did you decide to have such a forum? Like, what put you in the? Why did you want? Why did you decide to do it?
I decided to do it because in my experience in high school, there wasn't anyone really help us.
Who was
They
us?
like black people.
You say what you say. What you,
They really didn't help the black students. They really pushed like Hope College, U of M Flint, Grand Valley, and I went to visit like Grand Valley and Utah. I just really wasn't connecting, but I always had felt a connection with HBCUs, especially when Grandpa took me to homecoming, and I just felt like since there was a lack of promotion of HBCUs, with the exception of college tours,
Mhm.
since there weren't any adults doing it, I figured I might as well just do it so we could just start somewhere so there's other ways that people can get an education where they would feel more comfortable or get a different experience. Because although some people want to go to U of M, not everybody wants to stay here. Some people just want to get out of town or whatever.
Okay. So I remember that trip we went to Grand Valley. I thought you liked Grand Valley.
I mean, it was
I'm just saying that. I
okay.
know you didn't.
It
I just
was
said that because I wanted you closer to home. So
it was okay.
no, I know. I just wanted you closer to home. But tell everybody what school you go to.
I go to the real HU, Hampton University. Don't argue in the comments.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, so we skipped right over something. You said Grandpa took you to homecoming. What school? What school did Grandpa go to?
Texas Southern University.
That's in Houston. I also attended TSU and played football at TSU for a year. Actually, you come from a long, well, not a long line, but from a line of, you know, HBCU attendees, and your grandma went to HBCU, Tennessee State.
Hmm.
Um, all right, so what made you want to name your initiative after your grandparents?
I wanted to name it after my grandparents because they were the ones that really talked about their experience, especially Grandpa. Grandma talked about it a little bit, but every other sentence Grandpa said was about TSU.
TSU, yeah, yeah, it sure
and
was.
um and then you went to Norfolk and Texas Southern. So they were just kind of the pinnacle of like what a HBCU can do for you, I feel. Um and they really just motivated me, especially with them talking about their experience and seeing what they did coming from black colleges. Because I know there's a lot of stigma saying that black colleges can't help you get anywhere, but they obviously proved that wrong. Even in the time that they came up, they've paved the way for a lot of people here.
Mhm.
So that's why I named it after them, and I just feel like it was only right.
Okay, all right, cool. So I saw something that I wanted to ask you. I think I might have asked you about it before, but about there was some Hampton University is allowing a certain number of um immigrant students.
Ukraine,
Yeah,
Ukraine.
yeah. Well, that's what I didn't want to say. I wanted you to say.
Uh,
So, what's your thoughts about that? How do you feel about the Ukrainian students coming in? Do they get the minority scholarship? Do
um,
they get special treatment at Hampton University, or do they stay on campus? Do they get them apartments?
I don't know the details, but I know they get on campus housing. I don't know if they get special housing, but personally, I don't agree with it only because we have a lot of students at Hampton, students of color that are struggling to pay their tuition, and I just feel like Hampton is sticking their nose into things that have nothing to do with them. And I understand you wanted to take a positive stance on supporting them, but when your own students that are already here are struggling, and you already don't have the resources to help them, there's no need to really go out and help other people in other situations, which I understand what they were trying to do, but I feel like you should fix issues within the campus community first before you go out and try to help other people.
Okay. All right. So what well tell the people what year in school you are.
I'm a junior.
So you've had 2 other years. You're two and a half years in
Hmm.
at Hampton University. How do you like the school itself? How do you like Hampton University?
I've grown to love it. When I first got there, I was really homesick. It was a big adjustment, but I feel like I've learned to love the process and not hate it. A lot of people left. Like people really didn't give Hampton a chance, but I feel like if you just that's with any school. If you give it a chance, it's going to be a rough transition because high school is very different than college. But I really like Hampton. I like how it's not too big. It's not in a super big city. So I like it.
How does Hampton the city compare to Flint?
I don't know. Hampton kind of reminds me of Grand Blanc. It's like,
The city?
yeah, it's just like really, it's not a big city at all. Like it just kind of reminds me of like
I
it's
didn't
like a
expect you to
suburb.
say that.
It's like the suburb of Norfolk or Virginia Beach to me. Like it's
So
not big.
so out of the you've been not say you've been to Portsmouth, but have you been to Portsmouth before?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I don't think I have. I've been to Suffolk, but I don't think I've been there.
You had to go. You almost got to go through Portsmouth to get to Suffolk.
Well, then I think I've been, but I've never stopped. I was just going for food, but we got food. I was with my bigs. I don't. I think it was Suffolk.
45 minutes for to eat.
It was, yeah.
Okay. We'll get back to that. But okay. So Philip Lee wants to know what are the comments like. So how are your living conditions?
Uh,
We'll start off with because now you live in an apartment. So
yeah.
so
So,
before so this how was on campus living?
I'll go like pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, I heard it was really bad, but I came in the first year they opened the school back up. I ended up having a single my freshman year, and I thought it was pretty good. I don't think the issue is the dorm. It's just the people that live in a dorm. They're the ones that make it dirty. So it's not really the dorm itself. Now Hampton does have a mold issue, but that's because we're right on the water and it's very humid. So
Humid,
they
yeah.
yeah, they try to fix it's not intentional, but
Not like the one at Howard, right?
yes. Yes. But I like it. I live in an apartment now and it's nice. They did ended up doing renovations when we got our new president. So yeah, it's nice.
Okay, so I just want to let y'all know, for all of you all that had their first apartments that were sleeping on futons, and have futons for their couches, she doesn't have that. You have to go to her house and you got to drink your drink with your pinky up because they got
I have coasters.
they got coasters and nice comfy couches and
Yeah.
they got all type of stuff. So it's not the same thing as you got a couple lawn chairs in the living room and
Some people
you
live
want
like that though, but
well, I'm
me and
just
my
saying.
roommate was like, no, we just
So yeah, so the organized student housing. Yeah, so I will say, I don't really like to think about that first time when you talk about when you first your freshman year because I when I remember after we got your dorm room set up, I tried to hold in the tears and I cried like a little baby. You remember that? I was not ready to let my baby go. But it's easier, a little bit easier now. Um, when I leave to come back home, it's a little bit easier. Now I don't cry as much. This time, the last time, I don't think I cried at all. I was a little bit upset. But yeah, right back to your HBCU forum. So, who all do you have working with you or representing their schools with you tomorrow?
I have 8 students representing Texas Southern, my school Hampton. Um, let me just look so
There's
I
two
don't
from.
forget.
There's somebody else from Hampton, right?
No, well, yeah, there's
Tonight.
alumni. Well, she's the host. So
Oh,
one of the co-host also goes to Hampton. She's my roommate. And then for the students, we have Norfolk State, Morgan State, Hampton, Texas Southern University, North Carolina A&T, Clark Atlanta, Morehouse, and Central State. And then for the alumni, we have South Carolina State, Grambling, Alabama State, Howard, Lane College, and Hampton. So it's a
okay.
good. Good
Pretty good lineup.
variety.
Okay, so if you all are able to come out tomorrow to the new Flint Public Library, if you're able to come out tomorrow, tell everybody what time it starts.
It starts at 5 and it ends at 7:30.
Okay, and it's a what happens after that? What you got going on afterwards?
We'll
Or
be
did you
having
not?
no, I
Okay,
could talk about it. There will be an afterglow at Comic Book Store from 8:30 to 9:45. We will be having free food and just good vibes.
okay. So what I would like to know is what's what type of experiences have you had? College experiences that have you had? Like, what's the best party that you've been to? Like, what's the craziest thing you? Well, not the craziest thing because we're gonna keep it PG. We're not gonna get rated R because I know. Well, I don't know, but I just know how it was in college. So, what share some of your experiences that you care to share that are okay for the show.
I don't really go to parties like that. I haven't really been this year. Um, I would say the best party we went to was probably they don't really have parties at Hampton. Like party culture is kind of died
I
out.
seem to remember one time you called me at about 3:45, 4 o'clock in the
Yeah,
morning
I
with
mean,
a
but that was the last party of the year, and it wasn't even a
okay.
party. It was actually more or less a kickback. But I think probably one of the best parties I went to was with my group of friends. I think it was a band frat. They had a party. It was pretty nice.
KK
Um,
side.
no,
I'm about to say you went to a
no,
KK side
no,
party.
no. It's like I don't know if it's a frat. I don't know what it is, but it's like a band organization called Sticky Situation. I think it's for the drum line, but I think that's just a Hampton thing. But it was pretty cool. Outside of like parties, Hampton has like we have a lot of different organizations, and they'll do like Hollands, even though nobody goes to the Hollands anymore, which is inside of Holland Gym. They have parties there that are supposed to be like safe on campus parties, but nobody goes to those. Everybody wants to go off campus to the off campus parties.
I wonder why. Why do you think that is?
Hampton is one of those schools. They like to say you're an adult, and then when it comes to like having fun, it's like no,
So you're an adult, but till it's time to be an adult, and then they want to
yeah,
keep you. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So, um, how many I know you're in a couple organizations, and I wanted to bring. Speaking of organization, I want to bring something back to that we skipped over. But what type of organization do you belong to?
I'm in a lot of community service organizations. I'm a sister to sister. I'm the vice president. Well, I'm vice president of sister to sister.
What is that?
It's a mentorship group for um, students at the Boys and Girls Club in Newport News. We mentor them and tutor them throughout the week.
High school
Um,
students?
we can. It's like ages 7 to
Oh, okay.
18.
Okay.
So it's just anybody that's at the Boys and Girls Club. I'm also a part of Black Girls Vote, which is new. It's a national organization, but we chartered the Hampton chapter, um, which is still up and coming. But we do just like voter engagement and education events. I'm also in student recruitment team, um, Midwest Pre Alumni Council, which is just like people from the Midwest and Michigan get together and try to host events and
Mhm.
do community service together. I can't think of anything else right now.
Okay. Well, you said something in the beginning that I forgot to stop you and well pause you, and I wanted to ask some questions about that. Tell the people what high school you went to.
I went to Powers Catholic High School.
Okay. And you said something in the beginning. You said something there was nobody there to fight for us, or there was no one there. What did you mean by that?
Um, I guess I could just tell my experience. I remember my guidance counselor, who no longer works there. Um, I told her what schools I wanted to go to, and she basically said, "You're better off going to Mott or U of M." And I was really offended by that because Powers has schools coming to like, well, when I was there, I don't know if they do this anymore. It seems like they've made a lot of strives to increase the diversity awareness since I've gone back to visit. But at the time, they didn't really talk about HBCUs. But I did know that there were a few students that graduated and went to them. So I had to really kind of just figure it out and make my own connections and use YouTube. Like YouTube is probably my best friend, trying to figure out how to apply to the Common Black College application, personal statements. Like it wasn't really a push to go out of state. It was really just kind of like go to the Catholic private schools in Michigan or Michigan State, Grand Valley,
Can you
those
stop
ones.
there because I know a lot of people don't know what you mean by when you say Common Core application or the
Common Black College application.
yeah
So
the common.
there, when you're applying to colleges, you apply through the Common App or directly through the school. But HBCUs have their own Common App where there's 65 HBCUs and you could apply to all 65 of them for $20. That's what I ended up using. Now for Hampton specifically, you have to apply through Common App. I think it's Hampton, Spelman, and Cat, Howard, maybe Morehouse. Like the bigger schools, you have to apply through the regular Common App. But yeah, I mean, Power State helped in some aspects. Like academically, I was prepared, but it's just when trying to find a school that was right for you, and you're a student of color, you want to go to HSI, HBCU, or whatever else. They didn't really help in that regard. But I think that's just because they weren't educated on their end. They just kind of pushed what they knew
So I
or thought
asked
was
you that for a
best.
specific reason, and you didn't touch on it. But you started an organization that powers is what I was trying to get to.
Oh,
That's what I
yeah,
was
I
trying to get
forgot.
you to kind of
Yeah.
naturally walk into. So what was the organization that you started, and kind of tell us why you did that? Because I know what it is, but and I know why, but I want the people to understand why. And and just because I don't think that that organization is still.
It's
I'm not,
still there.
is it okay?
Mhm.
Okay, so go ahead and tell the people, please.
I had tried well, it was originally supposed to be a Black student union, but at the time that was not
Thank you, Miss Jackson.
allowed. Um, so they ended up calling it just like a student union board, which is not that was not my plan. My hope was to create a safe space for the Black students to come and talk about their concerns. Because when I was at Powers, time the Trump administration was just coming in, and it was just very tense. Being one of the very few Black people that went there, not being afraid to speak up in my AP Gov classes about what I felt was right and wrong. And I used to get in quite a few debates with students that just were very, like, they had a tunnel vision about a lot of these things. So I tried to start the Black Student Union, which ended up turning into the Student Union Board, just to create a safe space for people of color to talk, although everybody ended up just joining. Um, Unfortunately, it did kind of just trickle away and die out because it was my senior year and I just got really busy. But there are some students now that have picked it up and are doing some events that I try to mentor, and they'll be at my event tomorrow. But they're doing pretty good.
Okay. So what I do want to say is put this disclaimer out is we don't want to say anything. I have no, nothing negative to say about Powers.
Hmm.
Especially, they put out their great school. Um, I'm definitely, satisfied with the finished product. My daughter is very, y'all can see she's very smart, very well spoken. And that's not to say that, anyone else isn't there, they don't put out a good product. I just, there are just some things that we felt she Hailee felt because I had nothing to do with it, just some advice. But that was all her creation, all her thought process, all her planning that she did, just like this event at the library. That's all her. Um, so I just want to say that, that we're not saying anything negative about Powers. We're just saying that there was, some incidents that she got concerned about that kind of pushed her to do some different things. So, moving forward. So what do you hope people get out of your HBCU forum, your initiative forum? Like, what do you hope? What's the outcome supposed to be?
My outcome is just to really consider, like, I really want people to take the time to look at all 107, not just the top 10 HBCUs in the application process, whether you're just graduating or trying to go back to school. I feel like a lot of people within the city of Flint kind of limit themselves to what's local. And I really think that you should take the time to look at what other schools have to offer, especially HBCUs, because they can give you opportunities like no other school can. I'm a product of that. I've received a lot of opportunities and scholarships just because I'm from Flint and I go to HBCU.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I think I will definitely agree that there are certain experiences that you get, by attending an HBCU. I'll just put some of the ones that are more common: the food,
Mhm.
That's something that you're gonna hear from. I don't care if you went to an HBCU and you class in 1963 or you class in 2000 and 20. Everybody's gonna have something to say about the food. The financial aid lines. Registering for your class.
It's
Those
not
type.
even financial aid, it's student
Yes,
accounts.
so those type of things. It's just it's almost like tradition that that once But at the end of the day, you can't you can't you can't replace the feeling that you get when you go to your first football game or your first step show or your first union party or your first probate show. You know what I mean? Like those type the feeling that you get when you attend those events is different than when you go to a traditionally, what do you call it, PWI.
Mhm.
So, not saying that those schools don't have, those same events, but it's just when you're at a school or you're in an environment with everybody here looks like you, or and everybody here has a story that's similar to yours. Well, not necessarily. I just won't even say that because Hampton is like the bougie school for all the you don't
Not
have.
anymore. I feel like it's kinda that's really Spelman. Like Spelman is cream of the crop bougie. Now back in the day, we were just talking about that. How Hampton, even alumni said that Hampton is watered down, which I mean, I don't think it's watered down. They just times are different.
Well, if you have to do that every time, then
I
then
mean, it's yes, it's still bougie, but I think people forget about Hampton. A lot of people forget about
yeah. Remember,
Hampton.
okay. So what everybody doesn't know is that I went to Hampton for pre college, my my rising to senior year,
Hmm.
and I didn't know that in the cafeteria, which is not the same cafeteria that you have now, but in the cafeteria then, if you walk down the middle aisle, it's like a runway. Like it's like a rule, the unwritten rule that if you walk down the middle aisle, then they're gonna critique your outfit. If you walk down the middle aisle, you better have your shit together, so to speak. If you walk down the middle aisle, you better be geared up.
Yeah.
Your outfit better be together. And I wasn't really one of them type people all the time. And so I found out the hard way. So you can't slide that one past me that HU is not
I mean,
bougie.
now it's really not. Like it's people that wear pajamas to class.
And I don't
I don't
I don't I don't
approve.
I don't I don't I don't approve of that at all.
Yeah.
Pajamas and the bonnets and do rags and all, we won't get into that. I just don't. I think that's made for stuff made for home. But let's see. BCC. Try to transfer
That's the
everyone.
HBCU experience
Yeah,
that
yeah,
count.
yeah, and that's part of that
Yeah.
HBCU experience. I'm
Hampton does that. They told me that. Well, you need to make sure and get approved here to make sure your credits count.
Yeah, so I'm actually that's one of the things that I'm steady fighting now. But it's still I won't take away from any experience. I mean, I never missed a party. Like I'm unlike my daughter, I've never missed a party.
I like being at home.
But if my house looked like your house, I probably would be at home
I like
too.
being at home.
But I never missed a party. I'm just I ain't gonna say too much about my 20-year-old experiences, but I'll just say I didn't miss many parties. I didn't miss many events. I didn't miss much of any basketball games. I even went to soccer games. I didn't miss too much of
Mm.
anything. So after parties for them, partying with a different group of people was a different experience. But anyway, um,
Unfortunately, I think Hampton's school pride has really just dwindled.
yeah, I
Like
think
it's
I can agree
not
with that.
people do not go to soccer games. Like people barely go to the football not yeah, football games.
Yeah,
People don't go to the basketball games unless it's like we're playing another HBCU, but that's
like
because of what division we're in. We're
yeah,
not really in a big division.
that's another thing that I don't necessarily agree with. Hampton is no longer in the MEAC.
Hmm.
So a lot of the schools that are in the MEAC, y'all may recognize. It'll be the Delaware State, the Norfolk State, North Carolina A&T, Florida A&M, schools like that you would recognize. Hampton is no longer in that conference. So some of the schools that they play are more on the PWI side. Was like
No, they are PWIs. Like I don't
yeah,
know. We were playing Villanova. Like, why are we
George
playing?
Mason. And,
Why are we playing Villanova?
I mean, that's a bigger school though, so it's
Yeah,
to
but we're not nearly as big as them. So it really, to me, it doesn't make sense as to why we're playing
that might
Villanova.
be all in finances,
Yeah, probably.
financially, to
I
help
know
the
that
school out.
they're trying to make our athletic department on a bigger
Of
level, from
course.
what I've heard, which is good. But I
Y'all
would
better
like to
win some
see us.
games first.
Yeah, our track team is good though. Our track team is pretty good.
Whatever happened to you?
Look, it,
Look,
it
we trying
just
to get
wasn't.
scholarships,
It
and I
wasn't
thought we was.
time. Well, I wouldn't have had a life.
You ain't got one now.
I do have a life, but running track, they practice at 5 a.m. twice a day.
Mm. How you gonna practice at 5 a.m. twice a day?
You practice in the morning and in the evening.
So 5 a.m. and then 5 p.m.
Yeah. Like it's with the athletes, only hang out with the athletes. The band only hangs out with the band. They don't have time to really socialize. That's why I'm surprised that the band people even be having parties because it's like, y'all got time for that?
You be going to the band people parties.
Only Sticky. It's the drum line. I only go whatever is being promoted, and
So if
sometimes
the
they.
Hampton band, the drum line has a name, what the Norfolk State drum line name?
I don't know.
What you put your hand up like that
I don't know.
for?
I don't know.
My wish, it's clear that Norfolk State drum line is better than Hampton drum line.
I don't know who's better.
Yeah,
I
but
just
you
know
put your
that
hand up like you did though.
I don't. I don't like y'all uniforms. That's
I don't
really
like
what it
them either.
is.
But
Those
who
are
is
really
y'all? I ain't
ugly.
been in Norfolk State in 20 years, but
It's really ugly. Y'all
they
got on
are.
them
Now, if y'all,
capes and
if y'all don't know what
shields.
Norfolk State uniforms look like, they look like Roman, like Spartans.
Yeah.
They look like they got the little Spartan hats, but they gold.
Mm-hmm.
They gold, and don't
It's
none
too
of them fit right.
flashy.
Don't
It's
none
too
of them fit right.
flashy.
They be all crooked. You know.
Hampton and Norfolk remind me of Drumline. You know, I think it was.
Hampton is the flight of the bumblebee.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Hampton.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Hampton. And then Norfolk State is what's his name?
The
Nick
other.
Cannon.
Nick Cannon.
No, it's the other one, the purple school they had that they
Oh,
kept
that
going
was
back
Morris
and forth.
Brown.
Yeah, that's what Norfolk and Hampton remind me of because Hampton is very like mellow.
Bougie.
Yeah, but Norfolk State they get
Not.
down.
They
Yeah, they
get
get
they
down.
yeah, it goes down over there. I remember the first time you called me and said you was at a Norfolk. I told you don't go to Norfolk. And you in Norfolk at 4 a.m. and you say she said she had a conversation with a nice crackhead.
No, that wasn't me. That was my
No,
old
okay.
friend.
You said you had a conversation with a nice crackhead. I'll never
I
forget it.
think I did say that. I may have. But it's because my friends was really scared. I was trying to get us at the situation because the Ubers were like $60. If you thinking about going to Hampton, you can't have a car to your sophomore till you have 60 credits, and you have to Uber everywhere, and them Ubers kind of rack up. But and then you have to go across the water for everything. Like Hampton is very singled out from everybody else, so you got to go all the way across the water,
I will
and
agree
there's
to that.
only one way.
No, there's two.
No,
You
there's
can you
only
can go to
one way.
Monitor Merrimack, but that's gonna take you all the way
Yeah,
around.
they don't even offer that on Uber. Like it's only
Oh,
one
well,
way.
Uber, and then
Yeah.
that'll run you a whole lot of money too.
Mm-hmm.
But there are two ways to get to Hampton. But the second way is going to take you through Chesapeake, Portsmouth. It's going to take you way out of the way. So so you don't really want to do all that. And Newport News too. But
Girls
that's the one.
basketball.
Hmm?
I haven't been to a girls basketball. Well, actually, I've been to one girls basketball game. I think our team's pretty good. They're on weird days. I always have meetings at the time of their basketball games.
Okay. Um. Oh wow, we still got 30 minutes. So what you want to say? What you want to talk about? To see, like there might be somebody here that's watching. I think school is out now. High school is out. I think the last day was yesterday for most.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what can you tell somebody that's trying to make a decision about should they attend the HBCU or a PWI, or if they, are trying to debate if college is for them, or maybe they want to, maybe go to a trade school or pick up some type of trade? Because the one thing that I, tell my students is that college is not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe college wasn't for me in the beginning because I wasted a lot of time, and with that, it wasted a lot of money. But I also say that the one person who we just got over the pandemic, and there are a few people that had certain trades that did not go broke, like the plumber or like
Mm-hmm.
an electrician. So, what can you say to to help people make a decision that I wouldn't be able to say as an older parent? What could you say?
I would say do your research on the schools that you are kind of like looking at. even if it's not a HBCU, because I know a lot of people worry about finances because a lot of schools don't give that much money, especially if you don't have a high GPA. I could give my stats. I had to graduate with a 2.7, which is quite low considering I went to Powers, but it
But
was
wait a
higher
minute.
because it was of the pandemic.
But wait a minute, because you had AP classes too.
I did have I did good in my AP
So
classes.
AP stands for Advanced Placement, which means that the classes have a little bit to carry a little bit more weight. So explain that a little bit.
AP, so there's AP classes, dual enrollment, and IB classes. If you're in high school, all those classes can go towards college credit. But with AP, you have to take a test at the end. And if you get a one, two, three, one, two, I think a one or two, you don't get credit for it. But if you get a three, four, or five, you can get credit for it. Now, sometimes at schools, they don't always transfer over. You have to go and fight with the registrar about making sure you can get that credit to transfer. But yeah, I graduated with a 2.7. I got into a good amount of schools. Unfortunately, my number one was Howard. I don't know why, but
You're so proud of with the so strong and proud with the real HU,
well,
and
it's
then you
because
wanted to
of
go to the
them.
other HU.
Well, I believe I really want to go to Howard because of location. When I really looked at the school, couldn't afford it. They didn't give scholarships. I just didn't. And when I looked at like the dorms and how the school was, and then when I actually went to visit, I was like, wow, I really would not have liked it here. But my first time visiting Hampton was when I moved in, and I really liked it. But looking into colleges, I would say definitely use YouTube, like do the campus tour,
Virtual, yeah.
virtual campus tours. Try to find people on Instagram that you could reach or Facebook that you could reach out to, whether it be alumni or students that could talk to you about their experience. Definitely call the school. You're gonna have to fight to get on the phone, more than likely. But just try to talk to somebody within the department you're interested in looking into majoring in. If you don't know what a major is like what you're gonna be studying. But you normally don't claim a major till your sophomore year because your freshman year you're taking all general education courses. Um, as far as trade school, I can't really speak much on that, but I do know that they have the what is it, GCI?
Yeah,
Here, yeah.
yeah, or
If
the
you're
skill center for all of us old folks.
yeah, if your school is like able to let you do that, I suggest doing that. Just to see if like that's what you're interested in. But college isn't for everybody. I know a lot of people that said they wanted to go, didn't go. They doing hair, nails, working for consumers. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just want to be an attorney. So if you want to be an attorney,
I ain't get there
doctor,
yet. I ain't get there yet. I ain't get there yet.
oh, okay.
We ain't get there yet.
I think it's a question.
Okay, well, yeah. So I guess Philip, we was on our way. So tell everybody what your major is and what your minor is.
So I'm a political science major with a concentration in economics on the pre-law track.
Okay, so what do you want to do when you grow up?
I want
Oh,
to.
when you my bad. When you when you
I haven't heard
graduate.
that question
My bad. I'm
in a
sorry.
long
When you
time.
graduate, my bad. It's
I
still my
want.
baby, y'all.
I want to be. I want to go to law school in DC specifically. I'm looking at GW, um, or Howard or Texas
You got to
Southern.
tell us old folks. You can't just use this
Oh,
a
I'm
little bit.
sorry, George Washington
And
University
she
Law
said
School.
MCAT before. Tell
North
people what.
Carolina A&T is
Thank you,
NCAT.
because some people don't know.
Yeah,
You know,
but I'm looking to go to law school in DC or at Texas Southern's law school.
what's the name of TSU's law school?
Thurgood Marshall
Okay, I
School of
just had to
Law.
get that out there. Thurgood Marshall. Y'all know who that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to be. I want to get my JD, but I don't want to be an attorney. I
What is a
just
JD?
a Juris Doctor
There you go.
degree.
There you go.
I want to be a lobbyist in the education policy firm. You're not really supposed to say you want to be a lobbyist, but I want to be a lobbyist in education policy,
Mickey.
um, and urban development and housing. So yeah,
Okay. So, what would a lobbyist? How? Why lobby? Why a lobbyist?
um, I don't know how to put this without
Well, just put
sounding
it. Everybody. I mean, we just
negative.
talk over here.
So I'm one of those people that I feel like a lot of the work gets done for the community behind the scenes and not necessarily by the bigger elected officials. Because I've had 2 internships on Capitol
We
Hill.
ain't got there yet. Come on, go
It,
ahead.
it goes into what I'm trying to
Okay,
say.
go
So
ahead.
I've had 2 internships on Capitol Hill in DC, and I see the work that the elected officials do. But when I see the amount of work that the staffers and the interns do, to me, it just seems like I would have more of an impact working behind the scenes. And as a lobbyist, I could go and tell those elected officials why you need to do this and how it can help communities like Flint. And having my internship in my first summer in Kildee's office really made me
Congressman Kildee.
Congressman Kildee, Congressman Kildee's office really made me see that I loved working there, but I think on a when it comes to like a level of things that's so high up, I feel like I didn't have the direct connection to my community the way I wanted to. And that's part of the reason why I started my organization because I like doing groundwork and seeing the people. But yeah.
Okay. Um, so you said you had two internships. When was the next, and who would you intern for?
So this past summer, I interned for Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib from Detroit. And my freshman year summer, I interned for Congressman Dan Kildee.
Which, so what type of? Because I always want to ask you this: whose office did you enjoy working for more? I just wanted to know where did you have not saying not necessarily saying fun, but experience. How being accepted into the office as an intern. I know you said I remember you calling and saying that there was a couple times that you were a little frustrated with how you're being treated and accepted in one of the offices. So kind of and did you ever see Marjorie Taylor Greene? Like, did you
Oh
ever?
yeah,
Did you like? Because I remember,
yeah.
like, if you ever see her, tell her how your daddy feel about it. I remember, I remember that.
I
So,
I ran into a lot of the very far right people, and I just truly didn't know how to handle it. Sometimes I had to walk away. I remember I saw Senator
all you gotta do is
Cruz.
tell them I'm from Flint.
I saw Senator Cruz, and I really was just I couldn't control my face. Like I just had a pure look of disgust. But I saw one of my favorite senators, Cory Booker, and I really was like, I was kind of starstruck because he's probably one of my favorite um, elected officials. But I really liked working in. I like working in both of them. To compare both of them, I was part time this past summer, and then my freshman year, I was full time in Congressman Kildee's office. So in that office, I did a lot of like memos and stuff like that. So I really saw different areas of work. I worked a lot in the not economic, environmental area. So biodiesel, water. I wasn't really interested in it, but learning about it was actually.
Pause. Wait a minute. You come from Flint.
Well, I'm talking about biodiesel, like the water.
Oh,
Yeah, like
okay,
I
okay.
didn't even know
All
what
right, all
biodiesel
right. Let's
was,
get it together now.
but I did a lot of work with biodiesel, and I didn't understand. I'm like, what is this? But it helped me understand how it affects a lot of what we deal with here in Flint and it just Michigan as a whole with the PFAS and all of
Mhm,
that.
mhm.
So I'm glad I learned about it. It helped me. And then this past summer, I worked a lot with research on like the jails within Michigan. I was heavily interested in the incarceration system and how it affected the juvenile students and the moms. I feel like a lot of them don't get the resources that they need. Personally, I'm one of the people that believe that the whole prison system needs to be reformed and that I think that prison should not be for punishment, more or less rehabilitation, because you keep punishing people, they're not really going to know how to go back into the world and be normal. Like punishment doesn't really solve anything, in my opinion, depending on the crime. Depending on the crime, for sure. Um, but I like both of them equally. I would have to say it's not one more than the other. I will say this past summer I got to go a little bit offsite, a little bit more during my work hours, going to a
Uh,
few protests and other stuff like that.
one of them protests I called like, man, you better get out the way. Them people down there tripping.
I don't remember which one it was.
I don't know. Um, what was I getting ready to say? I had a brain fart.
I've read that book, The New Jim Crow.
Mm.
I've read that book. I've read a lot of the book. Read a lot of those kind of books.
Um, oh, that's what it was. So you were given a title of some type of ambassador.
Oh yeah. So this summer I stayed in the HBCU National Center in DC and I was given the title of the ambassador, which is really just trying to get students from different HBCUs to come and stay there. It's for free. I should say that it's free housing in DC with a few roommates that also go to HBCUs, and it gives you the opportunity since there is housing in DC is like crazy expensive. Um, Even for the summer, people would pay upwards to $7,000 to stay in just for like 3 to 4 months. Yeah, it's really expensive. And then as an intern, you don't get paid that much if you work on the Hill. They don't also say that either, but they pay you an experience. I will say that. But the HBCU National Center was created by a couple. They saw the inequities that a lot of students of color dealt with, especially at HBCUs. They just were getting these internships, but they had nowhere to stay, or their parents were going into debt trying to get them to stay there. So they rented out a building. Well, they own a number of buildings, but they have a specific building that's right behind the Supreme Court,
Mhm.
and
That's where you stayed this summer, right?
mhm,
Yeah.
right behind the Supreme Court. And they go out and have people advocate at different events. I had the opportunity to speak to Senator Tim Kaine about Virginia HBCUs because he's the senator in Virginia, and how he could offer internships for students at those schools, and just talking about like what we need and the importance of the HBCU National Center and making the elected officials aware of the issues that are happening with these students and how they don't get the opportunities that the University of Alabama's and Arkansas's get. We don't really have that. Those schools pay apartment buildings for their students to stay there. And HBCUs don't have that kind of money. So we have to really go and just find it.
So that brings my next question. That was like the girls from your first year. There was that like where did the one girl come from? Was it Mississippi? The turkey girl?
She was from Arkansas.
Arkansas, right?
Yeah.
And her school paid for her to be there.
Mhm.
And I will just tell y'all this as a parent. For one, Hailee was the only African American that lived in that apartment, and I was the youngest parent that was there. So when we walked in, they looked at us as if we were, not supposed to be there. And
Yeah.
some of the some of the questions that were asked, plus
When we said we were from, they were just
yeah,
like,
and
"Oh
then
my
we said that
goodness."
we're from Flint. Of course, we say, people from Flint say they from Flint proudly, and the one lady, I call it a turkey girl because tell them why.
They have a turkey farm and they are a big manufacturer with Butterball. So that means they got a lot of money. Like
So
they
we poor compared to these people that we were sitting up in there. Like these people were, were rich, and then they're older, and then they were not black, and then they were looking at us when we came in there, and they were I knew they were looking at Hailee, and Hailee had there was one from what, Ball State or Toledo or
Miami University in
Miami in
Ohio,
Ohio,
and
okay,
then one with
Arkansas.
Western Carolina, but she was from New York, but she said where she was from, there were more cows than people. So she was like really far upstate New York. The girl that went to Miami University, I think she was from like Connecticut,
Mhm.
and then the other girl was from Arkansas. So yeah, very different experiences. And they also, I need to mention that they worked in very far right um, elected official, well, senator and representative offices. So when we would come back and talk about our days, it was very different, especially when I would be sitting in on hearings and seeing them with one of
They're
them
with
worked
their
for one of them worked for Senator Tim Cotton, who's very far right, and then the other one worked for Elise Stefanik. And if you know that name, you know that name. Um, so it was just very different seeing the way that they handled certain situations.
Needless to say, I think that was more of a lonely kind of a lonely summer for you.
I've ended up finding a really good friend though. She was the ambassador for the HBCU National Center, and I got connected with her at one of the events that the apartment community had.
Okay. All right, cool. I know that was this summer that there were some guys that came because Howard University sent some students to Flint um to
Mhm.
assist with all actually most of the schools. Um and there was one of the guys that came to my classroom, Jay. I know that he reached out to you, right?
Mhm.
From he went to he goes to Howard, and he's a pre-law major as well. So I thought that maybe you guys could kind of get together and talk pre-law and talk the real HU or whatever y'all gonna talk. So But yeah, I'm really enjoying this conversation. I hope you guys are enjoying the conversation as well. Um, so you guys is um as far as we go back to Hampton, who's the biggest rival?
I feel like okay, so when I was at this alumni party this weekend, half of Hampton is like they really don't. They feel like we're not the real HU because their degree says HI Hampton
Hampton
Institute,
Institute, right?
so they feel like that.
That was when did that switch?
I think it was in like the 90s.
Yeah,
I think, um, fairly recent. Um, so I really don't care about the HU debate. It's just I get sick of them Howard people coming to me talking about where the real HU before they even tell me their name. But
I like they see your hat.
yeah, they'll where the real HU. I didn't really ask. But Norfolk State is our biggest rival, I feel. We really have a lot of not beef, but like it gets really intense.
No, some of it be beef.
Some,
Some of it,
but the band is
yeah,
now. I've
some of
heard
it,
some of the football players talking during the Battle of the Bay, and I just whoa,
yeah, some of it, yeah. I
yeah,
know. Yeah. When I was there was some, some. We just gonna call it some big disagreements,
yeah.
on the yard. We just and speaking of the for all you for um, hey, how you doing, Sanaya, Miss with us? I don't want to say your name wrong, so your last name wrong. So
Yeah, I just call it Sanaya.
yeah, Miss Sanaya. I'm sorry. So please don't. I don't want to butcher your name, but I don't. No disrespect. But again, this is my beautiful daughter Hailee, and we're interviewing. If you just now coming in or just now tuning in and you wondering who this is not Trevor, obviously. This is my daughter Hailee. This is my daughter Hailee, and we're talking about. We initially started off with talking about her forum that's going to happen tomorrow at the new Flint Public Library. Let me also give you your props on that too, because you had, I think, up to the date, the biggest event that was at the Flint Public Library, which was your first forum, right? Which was last year.
Mhm.
Um,
Standing room only. I
yeah,
underestimated it. I'm still nervous now
yeah,
because people don't really RSVP, and then they just kind of showed up. So we didn't
yeah,
have any more seats. Ran out of food like that. It
yeah.
was
So if you missed last year, it really was standing room only. Like there were, high school kids, there was alumni there were, people that were just stopping by just because they saw the crowd. There were people,
Mhm.
there was a lot of people there. So I will say that if you plan on coming, it starts at 5, correct?
Rock the blue and white. I see somebody saying
Yeah, I mean,
behold.
yeah, yeah. Behold, we know what that means.
Mhm.
Behold,
Rock the blue and white.
but yeah, we know what that means. But yeah, Justin, I was supposed to reach out to you. I think Justin works at I think you is that right, Justin? You said you work at Norfolk State.
That's Norfolk State color.
Yeah, green
Mhm.
and green and yellow.
Okay. I see the little rivalry going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah, so
blue and white.
I was gonna wear my Norfolk State sweatshirt today, but I'm gonna save it for tomorrow for the event. Yeah, so he actually works at Norfolk State. I was supposed to reach out, so yeah, I'm gonna inbox Justin. Yeah, but
We'll have
so
somebody speaking from Norfolk tomorrow.
who?
Her name's Ryan. She went to Flushing. Everybody tomorrow went to a like everybody tomorrow is from Flint except for one person. She's from Detroit, but she went to Howard and Kentucky State and she worked in the admissions office. So I thought that she would be a good person to have to talk to everybody.
Can you tell them again your event so they won't forget to be there?
Yes.
Knock it out.
This is the second annual Flint HBCU Forum. It is at the Flint Public Library from 5 to 7:30. There will be, I think, 13 to 14 panelists from different HBCUs talking about their experience. And the purpose is to really educate the community on what HBCU is, the importance of considering it in your application process, and just not letting everybody forget about it. Because I know right now there's a big hype on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we don't need that hype to die down. So please come out. And then afterwards, we have Afterglow at Comic Book Store from 8:30 to 9:45.
Did somebody say green and yellow? Did you say yellow?
I didn't say yellow.
That night.
Oh.
I didn't say
No,
hello.
I'm just okay. All right, we got about 10 more minutes. So thank you everybody. Thank you all for the nice for the kind words. This is it's my daughter. So I keep there was something that I wanted to ask, and it just keeps every single time I think about it, you start talking and it gets good, and it what I want to say just completely runs away from my mind. Oh, that's what it is. So I believe. Well, I'm not even as well. My role as the president of Flint Schools. Um, we we started to speak about exposure,
Mm-hmm.
the board, and exposing our students to different experiences, like the college tour. And not necessarily just the HBCU, but for regular PWIs, because I remember, when we took you to Grand Valley, and uh, we didn't go to Michigan State, did we?
No, I did with Granny.
Okay, yeah, right. Okay, I didn't go to Michigan State, but you went to. Did you go to Central too? Eastern?
I've been to Eastern with Grandpa.
With Grandpa, yeah. Because, but yeah. So, how do you think exposure? Because a lot of people don't have the resources to be able to take their kids or their children to see different schools that they might hear about the Hampton universities or the Norfolk States or the Jackson States or the Southern universities or the Gramblys. They might hear about those. They might hear about the experiences, or they might hear about the band. But how do you think actually being there for somebody to see would actually help them make a decision, or help them move in a direction just by being exposed? How do you think that would help them?
I think that now, I think exposure is a big part in students' lives for sure. But that's also why I started the event, because I know that I couldn't even really go and visit Hampton because we were in the middle of COVID. And I also think that's why I stated earlier, look online for the virtual campus tours, dorm tours, people decorating their dorms. But that's also why I brought the event in Flint, because I know there's a lot of students that can't even get out to Grand Valley. So I thought, rather than having a college tour, because you have to pay for the college tour,
And
just
they're
having,
expensive.
and then have the students come here to them so that they could talk about the exposure. Having the Nelia sitting out for Greek life, and
What?
huh?
The what?
Greek life. I choked for Greek
No, you
life.
said you said another word.
Greek life.
You said Nalia.
Nelia.
What is Nalia?
Oh, paraphernalia. Sorry,
You got to
paraphernalia.
break it down. Like you've been
Sorry, paraphernalia for Greek life, different HBCUs. So I think exposure plays a big role, because I know a few people that will be speaking on the panel that didn't know that much about HBCUs until I really spoke to them about it, or they heard about my event last year and they started looking into it, and they're now at those schools, thriving. So I think exposure can really change people's lives, especially students in Flint, because I know there's a lot of people that want to get out, but they don't know how to get out. And I'm one of those people. I feel like college is the easiest way to get out of Flint and learn about different experiences, different cities. Because if you're from Flint going to Houston, that's a huge adjustment. But you'll quickly learn about the city, how to adjust, and what it's like almost being adult, because you're not an adult, but just getting that feel. So I think exposure is crucial.
I will say that I was one of them people that went from Flint straight to Houston, and I wasn't ready for that jump.
It's a big jump.
That was not ready to go from Flint to Third Ward, Texas. It's um, it's just from Flint is this big, Houston is this big.
That's how I felt when I moved to DC for the summer. Like I
did not want you in.
I was
I am
so
not gonna lie.
scared to take the metro.
I'm scared for you to take the metro.
So scared to take the metro.
Look, y'all. Look, I'm from Flint. I ain't never lived in a big East Coast city. I've lived in Houston. You know what I mean? I went to live, was in LA for a little while, but trying to remember when we walked out of when you first went to DC, and we walked out, we saw the homeless dude on the corner. I said, "Look, you can't." I'm like, damn, he right here, man. Like I can't. Like,
I mean, they everywhere though.
Yeah, I know, but I ain't even had time to warm up into it. Like we walk out the apartment, and the dude just right here, and I'm thinking like, man,
that was a big adjustment, because I'm one of those people. I always feel like if I see a homeless person, I don't know, like I feel like that could be an angel or like that could be Jesus. And
No,
I'm like,
and
I just feel like I need to do something.
but
But I know
they
not
not.
everybody's like that.
They,
I
they
know.
not. They
So
not. Especially, and I hate to say
yeah.
it like this, y'all. Don't think I'm, but I think the same way because there's a
Yeah.
movie that I saw when I was growing up. It was what's the dude, man? He passed away. He was an angel. Michael Landon.
Right.
Okay, he played
Highway to Heaven.
Highway to Heaven. Okay, and
Oh, I've seen that.
he
Yeah.
was like an angel, you know what I mean? But he was playing a homeless person that wanted to, and the dude didn't want to help him. And I always, ever since that, you know, I always thought that anybody that you pass up or turn your nose up at, you could be,
Yeah.
you know, like you could be missing your blessing. I always thought that, like, even when I was a kid when that happened. But as a parent, it's different. It's like, man, you better leave that person where they are, and
Yeah.
don't wear your purse. Don't put your headphones on because you gotta have all five of you. You gotta hear, you gotta smell, you gotta whatever, you know. So you know,
I know that now, but my roommate, well, Janaya, she just be wear her headphones. I'm like, you need to take your headphone
you
out. Like, you
cannot
need to take your
hear,
headphone out.
especially
And
in DC. You a young lady walking around. They trafficking humans. They kidnapping people. They got body parts on the black market. No,
Yeah.
you got to have all your
This is right for you.
Yes, I was definitely worried about my baby, you know, and I remember because we only got a couple more minutes on here. Just as a parent and as a dad, you know, the number one responsibility is safety for your family. You know what I mean? Mick, you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes,
so I remember when we went to we were in North Carolina at the AU track meet, and they was finna start that gang fight in the
it sure
we were in the
was
arcade,
funny.
remember?
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, y'all was your mom was like, we gotta run. Like, no, you don't run. You find the wall, put your back up to it, and you
I told my friends that, and they were like, "How do you even know that? Like,
yeah.
where do you?
How did I know?
How do you know? Well, how did I know that? Like, how you know to do with these situations?
Hey, look.
I'm like, because it was somebody shooting at a party we went to, and they were running the straight line. I'm running the zigzag. Like, you need to run in zigzag.
First off, bullets go in the direction that you point. If you duck or if you get low, first off, you got to get low so you don't get shot. Second, you got to get low so you can see where they run. You don't want to run towards the bullets. So you know, if you just start screaming and hollering and running, them normally are the ones that get shot. You know, with the strays. You know, so you got it's just a situation that as a parent, as a dad, growing up in Flint, I've been around through the Beavers. I've been around through JB's. I've been around through what's next and Clio Road and and Saginaw Street and and all of that. So I've been around through a lot. I've seen a lot, been through a lot, and just it's my responsibility to make sure that you have those have the ability to recognize when it's time to go and how to go when it's time to go. So um, I got you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Ellis. We got that's in addition too because we got family in we got family in Norfolk, we got family in Hampton, we got family in the beach. I got classmates that live in Hampton. But yes, it's always great to have endless amount of allies. So I'm gonna reach out to you anyway because I would like to set up a tour, Mr. Ellis, a tour from Flint to Norfolk. Not Hampton. a Flint. I mean, a tour just to expose. And I'm just being funny when I say that, but
Anybody
Hampton.
Been out to VSU? VSU? Anybody been out there? I don't know. Nobody goes
Virginia
to
State. I know.
Virginia Union.
Didn't
Nobody goes there.
Virginia Union didn't Mr. Dr. Reynolds go there?
He may have. I don't know.
Somebody we know went to Virginia State. I don't know. But they the ops too. Virginia
Live
Union.
in the country.
So, oh yeah, he knows Grandpa.
Hmm.
Yeah, he knows my dad. But so everybody, we gonna wrap it up. Hailee, you want to finish out? You want to say anything before we get up out of here?
Thanks so much for having me and all the kind words. I hope to see everybody tomorrow from 5 to 7:30 at the Flint Public Library, and come with a lot of questions. I saw you had some questions. So.
I just want to say thanks for being on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for giving all your information. Well, giving the people the information that they need. well, that we felt that they need. You know, Mick, thanks for recording. Thanks for being
no
here for us,
problem.
man.
No problem.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Miss Jackson, hey, Siobhan's on. What's hey? But no, thanks everybody for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Oh, and there's giveaways. We got a free full set by my nail tech, Tamia. She goes to Texas Southern. Jorday Rowland, she will be doing a free lash set. We have Antonio Sweeney, Tenacious Tees with the Flint definition shirts. Unleashed Apparel, we have a lot
Shout
of
out
stuff
to
from
Shantae.
them.
He donated last year.
Yeah,
Shout out
he's
to
donated
Shantae.
to all three of them.
And he gives Winters a lot of her stuff too.
Merch,
Like, shout out to Shantae. Yeah, shout out to him.
And then I have a special giveaway that I'm doing on behalf of my organization. So please come out. And it's all free. Everything's free.
And the people can catch it on 810 because we will be putting it
We'll
on
be-
810.
Yeah, it will be. And this is, you at 810 music.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, hey, thank you for tuning in. We'll see y'all tomorrow, hopefully.
Peace.
Peace.